Welcome to the Voice Summit here at NJIT, where innovation is just the standard thing happening every single day. I'm here with my friend Roger. Roger and I met in San Francisco at one of my events called the Future of Voice, and that was an unusual day. It's very smoky that day. I think it was the worst smoke ever reported in San Francisco. Like on the health meter, it was like at 800, where you're going to fall over and die if it reaches 500. So we were inside that beautiful place, but we couldn't see the Bay Bridge. But we did have a good event, several hours, lots of speakers, and you and I got to connect. And I remember you were kind of thinking like, hey, I want to really go further in what's possible in voice. And so it's exciting to see you here and see you be, more a part of what's happening with Samsung Bixby. And you want to maybe explain, Samsung Bixby is it's Samsung's version of, Amazon's Alexa and Google's Assistant. And then I believe it's Viv Labs.
So I can explain Viv Labs.
Please.
So Viv Labs is actually the brains behind Bixby 2. Samsung acquired Viv Labs a couple years ago. Viv Labs, if you want a real quick history, goes back to Siri. So Adam Shire, Dag Kitlaw founded Siri, then sold to Apple, left Apple after a couple years, founded Viv Labs, and then sold to Samsung in late 2016. So Viv Labs and Bixby are new in one sense, but also there's a deep pedigree in voice and conversational AI in another sense, because our founders are, have been in that business and that industry as long as anyone.
Let's talk about where things are at today, and maybe give kind of like the 50,000-foot view, the general, overview of like where are things at Samsung with Bixby as a consumer product, as a consumer tool. I think we talked, and I'm telling you that of all the different platforms, Bixby seems to cause the most delight in consumers, even though it doesn't have a massive user base, even though it's every phone. A lot of Samsungs are using Google Assistant and other alternatives. So let's talk about where things at right now.
Yeah, so I think things are at, so a little bit of a history of that. We launched Bixby Developer Studio last November. Actually, Bixby launched a few months earlier. When I say Bixby, I'm talking about Bixby 2. That's based on the Viv Labs, and that's the kind of new and improved Bixby that allows third-party developers to actually create
a voice application. You opened up a third-party developer network is because of Viv Labs.
Because of Viv Labs, it's an open platform that allows you to build. And then the exciting thing we did in the last month was just about a month ago, we launched our marketplace, so the Bixby Marketplace.
That's right.
So think of this as the equivalent of the Alexa Skills Store, Google Action Store. The Bixby Marketplace is where third-party developers who built a capsule, that's our name for a skill, can go polish the capsule, list it on the marketplace, and then end users of Samsung devices can enable that capsule.
And where are things going? Like, what do you want to see happen by the end of 2019? Like, what makes this a great year when the New Year's Eve party is done, the champagne is popped, and it's like, okay, that's the end of another year. We start a new year. What do you want to see the team accomplish over the course of the next 5 months?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is about building traction.
Okay.
And this conference has been a great forward step in that, with a lot of discussions around building for Bixby. We're really strong believers. We're not going to build a great voice assistant. The third-party developers and everyone out there is what's going to build a great voice assistant. And I think that's somewhat of unique in the industry.
Yeah.
Is our belief that we will build the tooling and the platform in order for third-party developers to excel. We really think that we should democratize access to voice assistants, that if you ask a voice assistant a question, a third-party capsule should have just the same rights to answer that question as anything we build internally. As a matter of fact, we'd like you to. We'd like the third-party ecosystem to flourish, and that really is how I see it a little noisy in here, sorry. It flourishing. So really it's about establishing ourselves, establishing that third-party ecosystem and getting people excited and building for Bixby. I guess the other thing I'd mention is launching more devices. So we're on all the Galaxy S8, S9, and S10 devices.
Right.
But that's really the start. I think one of the great value propositions we have is just the sheer volume of devices that Samsung ships, right? We're #1 globally in smartphone sales. We're the biggest television manufacturer in the world. So there is literally going to be, by 2020, 500 million devices a year shipped with Bixby on it.
It's amazing.
There's a massive opportunity there.
Yeah. How about when you look out a decade? Like, what's the future of voice from a consumer standpoint in general? How about specific to what your team is thinking through? There's no predictor, I mean, but just thoughts, right? What do you think where do you think we're headed?
Well, I think, I think we're in the smart speaker era right now. And I think there's been amazing things that have been done with smart speakers. But I think we're going to go to a post-smart speaker era when your devices, your appliances, your TVs, God knows what. I can't imagine everything that's going to be voice enabled. And you'll be go into your house and you'll be able to talk to it. So this idea of ambient computing, and you'll be able to talk and ask it to do things for you, to make it just easier to live and enjoy life, and really make technology accessible.
Yeah.
One of the challenges I think we've always had in the technology industry is, although technology can do amazing things, we've always had to be trained on by the technology of what to do.
Right.
Voice is really a huge unlock to, first way I learned to communicate was voice.
That's right.
If I can talk to my technology, it's a huge
Yep.
unlock. It doesn't mean that typing and swiping is going to go away.
Absolutely.
It means that it's going to be complementary, and it's going to be a great way to interact with our technology. So I see that becoming more and more kind of interwoven into the kind of framework of our everyday life, and we can just talk to our technology. And just real exciting things to come.
It's good. Final thoughts. I mean, because we could talk for forever, basically. We'll never run out of things to ask each other if we just want to keep going. But final thoughts on this live stream. As I mentioned, and I probably should just thank the audience. Thanks for your attention. I know that we have people tuned in on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter from Pete Erickson's whole MoDev and Voice Summit. Also from Bradley Metrock's entire Voice First events and at .fm network, mine, Attention, others, Jen's, Influencer Collective, and more. What would you want to leave everybody with? What's the call to action? What's the next step? Is that they should be looking into your marketplace and what do you want them to do?
So I think one thing is go to bixbydevelopers.com if you're a developer, download our IDE, and give it a shot and try building Capsule. I think we'd certainly love to talk to companies about building Bixby capsules and building out that ecosystem. But above and beyond that, I think it's a little bit of a call to action for the voice industry. Is, like I said, I think we're in the smart speaker era right now. But as we enable voice on TVs, appliances, and just being around you in your house and at work, I think there's a lot of very interesting voice applications that could be built that we haven't really imagined yet, because in some ways they've been constrained by the smart speaker kind of ecosystem and what it does. So, think about voice on TV. Think about truly making interactive TV, which I think people have been talking about for a long time, actually work. Think about what it means to have appliances in your kitchen while you're cooking that you can talk to.
Right.
I think there's a huge unlock of creativity that we can think if we move our thinking beyond the smart speaker.
Right. Wonderful. Thanks for another great conversation, Roger.
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it.
I'll be back in a moment.